A new recording of Hunter Biden on the phone has him talking about working with who he calls the spy chief of China, a missing billionaire, and a friend naming himself and Joe Biden in a criminal case. Welcome back to Andrew Says on Rebel News. Despite Democrats vehemently decrying against the Hunter Biden laptop and hard drives, calling them Russian disinformation, you note they won't say anything about that it's fake or untrue. That would put them in quite a bind. It's not credible. You can't trust Rudy Giuliani. Haven't you seen Borat 2? Some of that rhetoric rubs off on their supporters. Take a look at this. Underhanded deals with Chinese diplomats and funding from China, getting unlimited loans and stuff like that. Quid pro quo stuff, like if you can get us a meeting with Joe Biden, we'll give you this much money. And then, of course, there's his getting $3 million from the president or the mayor of Moscow's wife and stuff like that. So a lot of this stuff.
That's alleged. I mean, all of these things that are information that come from Trump or I don't know, PACs or things like that. I mean, let's deal with facts.
These are Biden's his own emails, though.
That you've seen? Who's seen? Who has seen these?
The New York Post has published them. One American News Network, Rudy Giuliani. Some of the people from Fox have seen them.
He's not the best resource for anything, is he? No, he is not.
So if these emails could be verified, which they have been, does this surprise you at all? Do you think this should sway election results or anything like that?
Okay, the first point is that when things are verified, you have to consider the source that they're verified by, right? This is a lot of this stuff is alleged. I mean, against the Trumps as well as the Bidens, but the more important issue is who's running for president? Is it Don Jr.? Is it Hunter? No, it's Joe Biden.
Well, much of Silicon Valley and mainstream media prefer you take their word that it's all just information from the Kremlin. It's not clear how photos and videos of Hunter Biden in the nude doing drugs with prostitutes is Russian disinformation. Well, Biden's son being gross isn't actually that consequential, even if it obviously would be for Trump getting round-the-clock coverage. The most damning details have been Hunter Biden's emails setting up alleged pay-for-play schemes, offering access to his then vice president father. The media is nowhere to be found on this, and in fact, Trump supporters are now more likely to be the ones who show up at Biden rallies and ask his campaign questions that the media wouldn't.
Where's Hunter? 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 Where's Hunter?
The emails and photos haven't exactly been as digestible as some may have hoped, until now. A new recording of Hunter Biden on the phone has him talking about working with who he calls the spy chief of China, a missing billionaire, and a friend naming himself and Joe Biden in a criminal case.
I have another New York Times reporter calling about my representation of literally, Dr. Patrick Coe, the spy chief of China, who started the company that my partner, who was worth $323 billion, founded, and is now missing. The richest man in the world is missing, who was my partner. He was missing since I last saw him in his $58 million apartment and signed a $4 billion deal to build the fucking largest fucking LNG port in the world. And I am receiving calls from the Southern District of New York, from the U.S. Attorney himself. My best friend in business, Devin, has named me as a witness without telling me in a criminal case, and my father without telling me.
The spy chief of China who started the company. Who is that, you ask? Well, the person who started Hunter Biden's company is apparently Patrick Ho Chi-ping, former Secretary of Home Affairs, and you can just imagine what that actually means if Hunter is calling him the spy chief. Now, Ho Chi-ping, who was convicted in a multi-million-dollar bribery plot in Africa, was working in countries like Chad and Uganda. He served roughly 3 years in American jail, having recently just been released. That's probably good. That's no corruption there. The other name mentioned was a Devin. That's Biden associate Devin Archer, who, along with two others, was convicted in a federal jury in Manhattan in 2018. The charges were later overturned, but as of just a few weeks ago, they've mysteriously been reinstated. How strange. Now, where did Devin Archer used to work? Oh, just this small company you may have heard of called Burisma in Ukraine. Both Archer and Hunter Biden served on Burisma's board while Joe Biden was vice president. And none of this is worthy of questioning in the eyes of the mainstream media. Nobody wants to ask questions about it. If you still have any doubt that Joe Biden knew about this, you believe him and think that he wasn't involved in any way, Hunter Biden's ex-business partner, Tony Bobulinski, was interviewed by Tucker Carlson recently and explained exactly how he met Joe Biden, how they sought him out, and how the Biden family planned to get away with it all. Take a look.
You've said that they wanted you to meet Joe Biden as a way to induce you to participate in this deal. You were the actual business guy here who had management experience, deal experience. But it also sounds like Joe Biden was vetting you to some extent.
Yes, of course. Like, I didn't request to meet with Joe. They requested that I meet with Joe. Directly to me, one-on-one in a cabana at the Peninsula Hotel after about a, hour and a half, 2-hour meeting, with me asking out of concern, how are you guys doing this? Aren't you concerned that you're going to put your brother's, future presidential campaign at risk? The Chinese, the stuff that you guys have been doing already in 2015 and 2016 around the world. And I just can almost picture his face where he sort of chuckles and says, plausible deniability.
We never spoke about anything like that together. Hunter didn't do anything wrong. An investigation found that there was no wrongdoings. These are the ramblings of Joe Biden, a crooked old man who is protected by the media and has dealings with China.
Vice President Biden, there have been questions about the work your son has done in China and for a Ukrainian energy company when you were vice president. In retrospect, was anything about those relationships inappropriate or unethical?
Nothing was unethical. Here's what the deal. With regard to Ukraine, we had this whole question about whether or not, because he was on the board, I later learned of Burisma, a company, that somehow I had done something wrong. Yet every single solitary person, when he was going through his impeachment, testifying under oath who worked for him, said, I did my job impeccably. I carried out U.S. policy. Not one single solitary thing was out of line. Not a single thing.
As long as they are willing to lie and journalists and social media continue to cover for them, they will see no issue with what they're doing. They'll keep committing crimes and selling out the American public. Now ask yourself for a minute, what would happen if this was a Trump Jr. doing all this, or even if it was you? And consider how much this information can be expanded over a 40-year career of Joe Biden in politics. There's got to be corruption all over the place that we just haven't seen yet. If you'd like to help Rebel investigate new information from government sources, go to rebelinvestigates.com and consider donating.